back to the Slaying Self Doubt YouTube channel. Here is where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to walk into their God given purpose. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we create safe and brave spaces just like this for Black women to show up authentically as themselves. So join me and sometimes some of my friends or our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I am Coach Felicia, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey, Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. Welcome to all the new Slayers. No matter how you found us, whether it's by way of a guest episode, solo episode, YouTube, you found me on Google, or maybe you were at the women's retreat that I attended last week and you started following me. Hey, girl, hey. Um, Regardless of how you found me, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing up. And while you are here, I ask that if you're listening to this episode, any episode, and it's something that resonates with you, go ahead and share it to at least 10 people. We're still trying to hit 100,000 downloads by the end of 2024. And I really do think we can get it. I know some of it is on me, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So let me just get into this. All right, so real quick, by the time this airs, fingers crossed, we should be at 78,000 downloads. So as we're going, like I think we can make it. I just need like 20 something, right? 22, right? 23, 22, something like that. But I do know that a part of that comes from me, right? The fact that these last 4 months I have not been consistent in putting out episodes, and y'all know the transition was just very difficult on me. However, we are in a much better place, right? And so, even being able to talk about it on here has been very therapeutic for me, in regards to regaining control over my um uh over this transition and being able to kind of zone in on what it is that I want to do with Slaying Self Doubt and the podcast. And so we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But before that, okay, y'all. So I know I have been saying I mentioned this like very slightly. I think I put it on my threads. Um, y'all, I was hacked. Like Facebook, like legit hacked. Somebody hacked me in like 2.5 seconds. And so my entire Facebook account is gone. I can't log back in. It keeps telling me I'm suspended or disabled. Like, what you supposed to do? I really don't know. And so this will be the time that I say join our Facebook group, but we don't have one. And I will say though that this definitely made me think about ways to get my stuff off of other people's platforms because I literally have no control, right? I don't know who was in that group. I don't know. I don't even know what's happening in the group, right? Like if real talk, like if I don't know, so if I disappear, does that mean the group disappears? Like is everything disabled because it's connected to me? Like I have no idea. I've never even tried it. And part of me like wanted to go through the whole process. I went through like TikTok and Reddit and was looking at different, and some people was like, it's been a year. And I just was like, I don't have the capacity. I don't care that much about getting just Facebook back, right? Am I slightly blown about the memories that are on there? I'm grateful that my very first page that I had that had like the pictures I put up of my kids, I had downloaded that. So they give me an option to download my information. So it's stored somewhere. But the part that I'm confused about is like somebody hacked me. So then you got my stuff. So if I like that makes me nervous, right? Like if I download it, will you then have access to stuff? Like I don't even know. So follow me on social. Just follow me on social media. I know that I mean on Instagram. I know Instagram has the community thing, and I may start that. I don't know. Like I don't know. My brain is like even thinking about it right now has me. Clearly, you can see I'm discombobulated. So I'm gonna try to make sure that I stay connected through. So right now, the way you can connect with me outside of that, if you weren't in the Facebook group, is join the newsletter, follow me on Instagram. I immediately changed my password on there. I'm on other social sites, TikTok and child, if that don't get banned. LinkedIn and YouTube, but it really disrupted a whole lot for me. So anyway, Okay, so this past weekend, I had the opportunity to be go to a women's retreat through my church, and I went as a breakout speaker, and it was a twofold thing for me. So in the first place, this was my very first women's retreat, because I tended to think that women's retreats were for like aunties and grandmas. I'm just being honest, like I've never been on a youth retreat. Like I've never done any of those things growing up. It just was not something I wanted to do, right? So let me just say that. And so it was different. Like I wasn't sure what to expect. And then also being asked to be a speaker was super dope. Like it was very, very exciting. And I had mentioned to you all at the beginning of this journey and this transition was like I didn't know the space that I was going to have for slaying self doubt. Like, what was the capacity mentally, physically that I was going to have to be able to give towards slaying self doubt? Like, because God gave me this first, right? And I never wanted to drop the ball on this because of other blessings that come along the way. And so, this was my second speaking engagement this year, and we're only in month 4. And so for me, I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. Right. And so I'm super I was excited to be able to, of course I was nervous and all of those things because slaying stuff out, right? But I knew I was going to kill it. I knew I was going to do well. Just because it's not like I'm doing something that's completely out of the norm. The more you keep doing stuff, the more um, confidence you will have, and the more things that will remind you. Like I run my track record. Like, girl, you just did this 2 months ago. Like, it may not be at the same capacity, maybe more people, less people, whatever the situation is, you got this, right? And so my conversation the my breakout session was called off the grid, and it was about rest and ways of avoiding burnout. And I was like, girl, I don't know, because clearly I'm over here burnt out, right? Like that was when I tell you the Lord is funny, the Lord is funny. Like I'm literally like, this is exactly what was going on in my life right now. So I went through it. I started reading this book called Sacred Rest by Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith. And even as I was thinking about doing this podcast, I was like, dang, I think I'm probably going to reach out to her and her team to see whether or not she'd be willing to come on the podcast or do a live or something. Cause I think I know that I'm not going to give this book the justice that it needs. She's a physician, like a physician, I think an internist. So that's like primary care, make it simple. And so, there's healthcare. I live that life. And so there's an amount of burnout and, things that go along with that on top of, historic things, generational stuff, all those things. And so, it really was important to me. Like I did not want to have this conversation at this retreat and like not know. Like I could guess like these are probably some things. And so what the book did was like really she broke the 7 different pillars of rest that she breaks down. And so it is mental rest, creative rest, social rest, spiritual rest, physical rest, sensory rest, and emotional rest. And so I did an overview of, just kind of what they all meant. And then I broke down 4. Those were my main topics because I felt like for me, that was the space that I was in, but also I know my people, and I know regardless of who these women were that were going to come into this room, I had to talk as if I'm talking to my slayers, right? My slaying self doubt community. And these are the things that we are struggling with, right? And so today I want to talk about 2 of those, physical rest and emotional rest. And they kind of go like when we go through it, you'll probably be like, what, huh? It's some stuff. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm giving you a disclaimer right now. I am looking at 2 screens because I wrote some notes on what I normally write on, and then on my other screen is some of the notes that I got from that I had from the breakout session. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving you all the information when you're like, why is she her head? Look at this, she looking over here, she looking at like I just want you to know. But I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Okay. So first and foremost, we are talking about rest. And so I asked people what they thought rest was, and one thing that we tend to do as women, and mind you, like I'm speaking in a perspective of for me personally, right? Always as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, as a person who has worked two like over the last 20 years working in a 25/8 job, right? And so your circumstances may be a little bit different. It may be the same. You may have greater responsibilities, less, whatever the case may be. But I think that we all fall into some form of this at some point in time in our lives, right? And so the first thing I want you to know is that rest is essential. Like it is necessary. It is a part of what it is that you have to do in order for you to function on a daily basis. Your body has to rest. And oftentimes when we think about resting, and lots of people was like taking a nap, sleeping, and somebody said, turn my brain off, right? It's so many different things. And what I loved about the book, is that the way it broke it down. And so like I said, I'm not doing this book any justice because I'm giving you like literally like the very very high level portion of this, right? And so I read it was an article in a lore on a lore website called Why is Exhaustion So Normalized for Black Women? And that's where these she kind of broke down the pillars. But one of the things in that article, it says, as the old saying goes, you cannot pull from an empty cup. We cannot be productive, supportive members of our communities if we're not also supported. And the best part, Black excellence can still be attained, if not amplified, by giving as much to our bodies, minds, and souls as we do to our community and our professional and academic lives. We can honor those who came before us, those who were not able to rest by resting ourselves. And I thought that was so profound because I think oftentimes we feel like if I rest or if I stop moving, things ain't gonna get done, right? And I think we have to change that. Like things don't get done if I don't rest, right? You think about being on the airplane. They say you put your mask on first before you help. If you have someone next to you that you needs help, you have to breathe first. Like you can't help me if you ain't breathing. You can't help me if you're not getting the oxygen you need to go forward. What are we doing, right? And so I think that we got it messed up and we've had it messed up for a very very long time. And I think having these conversations off always is important for us to recognize that we have to do something different, right? So Cambridge Dictionary says that rest, the definition of rest is to cause someone or something to stop doing a particular activity or stop being active for a period of time in order to relax and get back your strength. That is the dictionary definition. In order for you to relax and for you to get back your strength, rest is for you, right? And then I found a scripture. Okay. Therefore, a Sabbath rest remains for God's people. For the person who has entered his rest has rested from his own works, just as God did from his. Let us then make every effort to enter that rest so that no one will fall to the same pattern of disobedience. And so I said, whoa, wait a minute. So you telling me that not resting is disobedience? Like, if I got to keep up with how I'm being disobedient, I need to know, right? And so then I thought about it and I said, and even in the book, she mentions it, God rested in his, like, I don't even know what word is bigger than like amazing. Like in the fullness of who he is as a believer, if you know the power of God and what he can do and what he has for done, even as he was creating, he rested, which means if we when we break things down, literally that I don't know if that tops the commandments. Like if that is like the he was the example of rest. So when we're not doing it, we absolutely are being disobedient because it didn't take away from him being God. He was not God because he rested. He was still God. And so that's proof that you will still be a mom, you will still be a wife, you will still be an employee, you will still be a friend, you will still be an entrepreneur, you will still be a CEO, you will still be a doctor, you will still be a lawyer, you will still be everything that those titles that you have, even when you rest. And guess what? He rested and then got up and did the rest of his work After he had done everything that he was supposed to do, he looked at his work and felt good about it and sat his $5 tail down. Okay. And sometimes you need to sit your $5 tail down. Like, sit down. I tell you this often, and I did a story about, which is like when I tell you that the Lord was piecing together things the week before this retreat that made me be like, okay, God, I feel you, right? If you saw one of my stories, one of my reels, I have I broke my ankle about 13 years ago, and every now and again it be acting up, right? And so it'll hurt, and so it was hurting the week but leading up to this, and so I always say, sit down before you get sat down, right? And in that moment, I kept saying to myself, like, why am I being sat down? Like, I'm out here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think initially I was like, because I ain't finished this presentation, the deck slide I was supposed to be doing. And so I was like, I think I needed to, I had said I was going to do it on Friday, then that didn't happen. So the Lord said, okay, sit down and you're going to get this done. And I did. But I also think it was a reminder of why you need to sit down. Sometimes we can be so up in arms about so many different things. And I got this and I got that. And this is running list in our head and on our people and some on our table and somebody is asking that we don't do the things that are necessary, right? And so one of the things in a book she says, you can either honor the need to rest or surrender to the mandatory rest. And so that's the sit down before you get sat down part, right? And you like in it, I think it's like the part that got me was like honoring, like honor yourself, honor your body, honor the thing. Like when you get one body, you have to take care of it. That is your responsibility. That is your job. That is a part of your work being on this earth is to take care of your body. And if you are not taking care of your body, who is? Who's going to? No one, right? And so one of the things that she said that also made me be like, okay, um, is that sometimes we fear being still. We don't want to rest or sit down because we are worried about what we're going to find when we stop moving. And talking about these pillars sometimes give you like I've realized in listening and reading to the book that like oftentimes, yeah, that's what happens. You don't know. Like you if you sit still long enough, there are things that God is trying to download in you. And you can't do that if you out here. What's that whack-a-mole, right? Like the joint key. It's like you're resting, then you get it. You're resting, then you get it. And he can't give you. That's why. That's what for me. I'm talking to myself here. Okay, that's the reason why we be so confused about what it is that we supposed to be doing, because we be like, I think I heard him. I thought he had said. Did he say? I think that was. You know why you don't know? Because you didn't sit down long enough to listen. You didn't sit down long enough to really sit in his presence. You was like, I'm on my way somewhere, bun, in the car, listening to music. And okay, God, download in me. He say something, and then, oop, I need to text this person back. Oop, I need to, is this my exit? Oop, oh, this is my song. Oop, those type of things, everything. Oh, what am I getting for dinner? Somebody needs this. Somebody needs that. Let me get this. And then guess what? When I go back to think about, okay, I was talking to God in the car and he had started to say, actually, I don't know. I don't know what he said. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And then you start guessing. I think he was talking about this because we do that because it's what we want, right? We do that because we would like for these things to happen. And because we want these things to happen, we are expecting of him to just give it to us, expecting of him to just know, because he's all knowing, and some stuff is on us, some stuff that you gotta sit down. And so before we get into the two that I'm going to focus on today, another quote from the book was, we treat the vessel we need to live like an optional asset. And when I tell you, that struck me to my core. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna repeat it because somebody just said, what you say? We treat the vessel we need to live like an optional asset. Yes, we do, right? We think that that pain gonna go away. I'll worry about that later. I'll get that done at another time. I don't have time right now. No, we literally need to take. I just said it. Take care of the one body that you have. This God is. I've said this multiple times on this show that oftentimes I really feel like sometimes the thing that is holding me back is that God has called me to take care of my body, and sis just be wanting pasta and Pepsi and brunch. Okay. And I just be like, I don't know if I want to do all that right now. I don't know if I want to give it up. I don't know if I want to. It's about to be the summer, okay? The tacos and tequila, right? Like we is out here like we back outside for real, right? And so in my mind, I'm saying to myself, like, yes, I know that these things I need to be able to do, but God, I'm negotiating with him and negotiating with my body. But when something is wrong, when I am walking, yesterday I went walking with my son, and he was like, "Oh, mommy, can you spare like 30 minutes to just go walking with me?" And at the moment, I really didn't have 30 minutes because I had stuff I needed to do. But I heard him, and I said, "This is a moment you just gonna have to like. Sometimes stuff got to wait, right?" And my son needed me, and we just gonna walk. And at the end of the day, he just wanted to walk with me. Cool beans. I appreciate it. He about to be 18 in less than 2 years. And so I'm taking in these moments, right? But as we're walking, I'm like, dang, my foot is hurting, right? And so I look down and my ankle's swollen. And I was like, what the crap? Now, mind you, it's the other ankle, not the previously broken ankle. It's my other ankle. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so now I'm like feeling this pain like radiating up my leg. And I promise you, anybody else who's out here who's a little bit of a slightly hypochondriac or very in tune to their body, right? I also had sciatica issues. And I'm like, is this my sciatica acting up? And then I happen to look down and I'm like, is my foot blue? Like when I tell you, I was like, I gotta sit down. Went to go sit down, took my foot out of my shoe, looking at it. Okay, I think I just need to go lay down somewhere. And I get it. Like for me, when I stop exercising, my body lets me know, like, girl, now we gotta start all over again. And that's stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting. Sometimes that can be discouraging, right? Because then my body is aching. And I'm saying, your body aches because you are carrying 50 extra pounds of weight that you are not meant to carry. Your body was not built to carry this weight. When are you going to let it go? When are you going to do what you need to do? Well, regardless of what that looks like. When are you going to make the decision to take care of yourself fully, whole, like wholly? God wants us to be whole. And so it's not pieces of this, and it. Like I'm like the negotiating has to stop, right? And at the end of the day, we want what we want, and I get that, and I want what I want, and I get that, and but I also know that the sacrifice or not doing the things that I need to do will ultimately hurt me and hurt my family, right? So, yeah, we just got to take it way more seriously. So I went off on a tangent, but y'all know how we be. Okay. So physical rest. Physical rest is divided into passive. So this is per the book, divided into passive and active. Passive rest is napping and sleeping because your body has to lay down to go to sleep. That's how your body rejuvenates like naturally. God has created like that is what you need, right? Um excuse me, active rest is like muscle relaxation, yoga, massages. What I share during my session is that I go to the chiropractor. And when I tell you, I be so relaxed in it, y'all, for real. Like it's the stretching, it is they put the little electrodes on your back or wherever you having problems at, and then the heating pad going. And oftentimes I fall asleep. Like they be like, Miss Wallace. And I'm like, huh, what? I'll be knocked out in that joint, but my body is at rest. So I'm doing passive and active, right? And then afterwards, they're stretching me out. Okay, where you have me? My hip, okay, my shoulder. We're doing these stretches, but my body is still physically resting. I'm not out here lifting weights or anything like that. Then they do the realignment and the readjusting them, and I walk out feeling like I just had a full body massage. I walk out of that office feeling my body physically feels rested. And so sometimes you need that. And I'll put a link and I'm going to tell them I got an appointment. Well, y'all gonna hear this on Sunday, but I have an appointment on Friday, so before this airs, so I'm going to be able to tell them ahead of time. Just FYI, I referred y'all to my entire podcast community and to some of the ladies at the women's retreat. So, yeah, like I just as long as I can get my appointments, okay, that's all I know. But I like genuinely know that I need it, and I know when I don't have it, right? And so for me, that is how I get physical rest in this moment. I don't do yoga. Sometimes I'll do. Well, no, I'll take that back. I do some videos like on YouTube and stuff like that. If I feel like I need just like a good stretch, and that really does make my body feel better. It doesn't have to. And sometimes just going on a leisurely walk, right? Like you go. Like I am getting back into walking in the morning every day, and I'm not out there like power walking. I literally am just like I just walk. So I don't have a goal of how many miles I need to get. And right not at this very moment. Right now I'm saying 30 minutes. Once you hit 30 minutes, bun go about your day. But it's the consistency and it's what I need and I feel better. Like I yesterday was my first day back and baby, how like I wanted to fall asleep mid walk. Okay. But I know that's because I've been going back and forth, right? And so I'm encouraging you to find ways to physically rest, right? And so I want you to think about what things that what can you do? And we see people exercise. There's multiple different things, but I want you to think about what you need to physically rest. And I also want you to think about why you're not physically resting, right? That was one of the questions that I asked during the breakout session. What is stopping you from getting physical rest? Like, what is the hindrance? Because when you know what the problem is, oftentimes, once you remove that thing, that's it. For me, I had a conversation with my therapist yesterday and I was telling her I need to do this. She's like, well, what's the holdup? Like, what's going on? And I said, getting out the house on time. Really, if I don't get out the house on time, then I'm rushing to drop the kids off. Then I don't feel like I have enough time to go back. And so today we left out on time. And then when I was done, I was like, what? I didn't feel rushed to be able to like, oh, I gotta hurry up and do this and I gotta hurry up and do that. I went, did my 30 minutes, was able to come home, looked at the clock and say, oh, look at here. We have more than enough time because guess what? Once 2 o'clock hit, baby, I'm in the car for 2 hours picking these kids up. And so what and then I'm tired all over again, right? Um and so I just want you to think about that. I want you to think about what is stopping you from getting physical rest, and then what ways you can include physical rest into your daily routine. I had one of the ladies in the in the breakout session say she was a part of the nap ministry. I'm not, unless I am like either sick or like exhausted. That was the only time I was taking. I hate taking naps. I feel so groggy afterwards. Like, and she was like, "You're not sleeping long. You're not napping long enough." Then that's sleep to me, right? Like, I don't know. And then I feel like I'm up even later. So that's just it's different. But if you're a part of the nap ministry, take your nap, schedule it into your day, do what you need to do for you and for the people that you serve. Right? Right? Remember, before this, what I read is said we need to hold on, let me go back to it. We can honor those who came before us and those who were not able to rest by resting ourselves. We cannot be productive, supportive members of our communities if we are not taking care of ourselves. You cannot, the people you are called to serve, you have to have the energy to be able to do it. And getting physical rest is a part of that. Okay, the second point is emotional rest. So she says emotional rest is the ability to be honest and authentic when expressing our emotions, giving ourselves permission to feel whatever arises without judgment. And that was a tough one, right? Because for oftentimes for us as women, we feel like we can't share. And so some of the things that I'm just gonna read this. She has like so a part of the book or the audio book. It might be in a book. I don't know. It might be, but in the audio book they have a PDF of like a like a checklist of stuff. Like see if this resonates with you. Okay. So you have a tendency to focus on your failures. You experience irritation throughout your day when thinking about your day, excessive worrying or feeling of display feelings of anxiety about situation. I was like, baby, that's me. Like this right here, this emotional rest and feeling what I'm feeling and keeping it on the inside and not letting it release and all of that stuff. Like that is me, right? And so sorry, y'all. Um, and so I had shared that I believe that's why God gave me slaying self doubt, right? Because it was like there were emotional things, just feelings that I was having about myself, about different situations that I was just internalizing. And I've shared multiple times on here that the way my body handles stress is that it attacks itself. And from having Bell's palsy to losing my hair to probably this vitiligo that I have to like I have quite a few autoimmune disorders that are stress related, right? And it didn't take me till I was 40 something years old for it to click. Like, girl, you have to deal with your stress a different type of way. You cannot internalize it. But what happens is that we're afraid to say something to the people that should be closest to us. Well, the people that are closest because we want to trust them, right? And we want them to be able to hear what we have to say and be okay with saying what we need, being okay with just sharing how you feel, right? And so throughout the whole thing, y'all know Jesus in therapy. I'm always I'm an advocate for therapy. That was one of the things that I shared. Like we don't often like you need to be able to have a safe space. And if you don't have people that are your safe space, then you need to pay somebody to be your safe space, right? And what happens is that when we don't take care of that emotional part of us, we are lashing out at the people around us. And it could, stresses from work, stresses, outside stresses, stresses from the things that you're worried about. Years ago, when I was in my previous job, my husband used to be like, "It's your aura." Like I don't know what it is, and sometimes it was because, hey, I got this person who's out of work for 2 months and or whatever the amount of time is, and I gotta find somebody. Nobody's coming doing this. I got demands that are being put on me that like. I felt overwhelmed, right? Then I got to come home and I got to be a wife and I got to be a mother and I got to step into this role. And I felt like felt, hear me words clearly, I felt like I had to do it all without complaining versus expressing that I was overwhelmed versus telling my husband, like, I really need help. I felt like this is what I have to do as a mother. This is what I have to do as a wife. This is what I have to do as a leader. Like I put that on me, right? And it's like if you put that on yourself, that's on you. So then I'm carrying around this burden that I created because I'm afraid to say something because I'm worried about if I say this, are they gonna feel like I can't do my job? No, we get overwhelmed. Child, I need somebody to be here for work. I can't be doing their job and mine at the same time. That is a legitimate concern, right? Stop giving me other people's stuff. Like if she not doing what she need to do, why is that my problem? You are her boss. Tell her to get it, like figure it out. Like leave me alone, right? And if it's things that age appropriate for your children, I had learned that at the tail end of it, like there's certain things that my kids could do. You can take out, like you can gather the trash. Hey, grab the trash cans and bring them downstairs. Maybe it's drag the chairs out because, but, but we be wanting stuff a certain way, right? And so because you want it done a certain way, you're not gonna ask nobody because they ain't gonna do it the way you want them to do it. And that's crazy. Bananas. And I'm here with you, right? Because one of the things I thought of as I was going through this was, is my pride stopping me from resting? My need for control stopping me from doing the things that I need, like asking for help? Is that what's happening? Is am I because I feel like I have to do it, I am doing it, and then I'm frustrated with the people that I haven't even shared with that I'm overwhelmed because I'm really doing your job. When I tell you the freedom that I felt in my work life and my home life when I learned how to eliminate and delegate, baby, it was a game changer for me, right? There were certain things I didn't need to do. I don't care. I've shared this story before. Um, my because this is how crazy it is. I just want you to know this is my crazy, right? My mother-in-law would come over and she would be like, "Oh, y'all washing whatever. I'm a fold." She would fold our towels. Okay, we have a like our linen closet space is kind of small, and so it was a particular way that I would fold the towels up so that they all could fit, right? And she didn't do it that way. I would show her. She just didn't do it, and it's fine, whatever. When I tell y'all that, look, for years, I would unfold what she folded to fold it my way. And then I would be frustrated with myself because I could be doing something else, right? And then one day I was in a life group and I shared this. And all the women in the group was looking at me and was like, why you just don't put it like why you won't tell her that it? And I was like, I did. But I was like, she like at the end of the day, she doing me a favor, right? And so then somebody just said, well, why you care? They towels. And I was just like they asked me a legitimate like, do it fit? Even if she don't fold it the right way, the way you want, because there's who says it's the right way, right? If she don't fold it the way you like, do the towel still fit in the space that you have? The answer was yes, they do still fit. But because it didn't look like the way I wanted it to look, and here's the thing, I'm about to man, I be having these moments, right? The thing is, it's not necessarily that it didn't look like the way I wanted it to look. It looked like the way my mom did our tiles in our bathroom when we were growing up. Like we learned how to do it that way. So then I carried it over into that. And so now having someone else do it that's not like that, but it still works. What the old saying say, it's more than one way to skin a cat. Like them towels still fit in there, but because it don't look like what's been passed down to me, it seems like it's wrong, right? And so then we take on that because this is who said that that was right. Maybe that's just the way my mother liked her towels. I can tell you one thing though, in her house now, she don't her towels don't look like the way they used to look in our old house. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe she changed her mind. But for whatever reason, she liked it the way they were at that time. But now that's my burden. That's my thing that I have carried down. And so if it don't look like that, I feel uncomfortable, right? And now I'm out here redoing this lady work where she's like, girl, you could be making dinner. You could be reading. You could be taking a shower. You could be doing so many different things, but instead you're going to spend 15 minutes refolding something that already fits in a space because it don't look like the way you think it's supposed to look. We do it to ourselves. We are doing it to ourselves, right? And so I'm just encouraging you again. What is stopping you from getting the emotional rest? And so, I didn't share. So ways to emotionally rest. Eliminate stress. I know that's easier said than done. Some like that was stressful. Like I just eventually I just was like, how have she folded? How have she folded? And I was okay with it, right? My son has now taken over folding all the clothes and ask me if I care. He put them up, this, that, and the third. It may look a mess. Now, if I do it, then I will do it before him if it's something I really want to do. But if I don't really care, like I don't care anymore, right? So that eliminated some stress for me. Eliminating stress may look like diet and exercise, creating boundaries, therapy, having difficult conversations with people sometimes really stress, removing the people that no longer serve you. Like one of the things that I say is like we all have draining friends and draining people in our lives that you could only deal with in little pockets. And I say, I guarantee you, you may not know. I don't know if I really had. Yes, you do. It's the person you didn't invite to this women's retreat because you ain't had time for her foolishness for 3 straight days, right? And everybody kind of chuckled because we all know like sometimes it's not intentional. At least I don't think it is. I don't think people intentionally mean to be draining. I just think they don't know. They're so caught up in their own stuff that they don't realize that they're just dumping. And because sometimes for some of us we're there and we are a safe space for people, we just allow them to keep dumping on us. And I'm saying there is some weight that you're carrying that does not belong to you. Give it back. Okay. You can go, you only have to give it back. Just put it down. Leave it on the sidewalk. Leave it I don't care where it needs to be, but take it out your book bag. Take it, leave it, like remove it. Okay. So I give you permission to stop carrying other people's emotional stuff. I give you permission to do the things that you need to do for your emotional um stability and your emotional safety. And if you, again, if you do not have a safe place to be able to share your feelings without judgment, pay somebody. You pay somebody to do your hair, your nails, your feet, maybe tailor your clothes. I don't know, feed you. That money you spending on DoorDash, you good therapy. Okay. So y'all already know it's gonna be links in the show notes because I'm gonna make sure that everything that we spoke about today that I highlight in there. Now, one of the things that I definitely said about emotional rest is that, it can be heavy, very, very heavy to have to deal with certain things. And I understand the assignment that's on my life. I understand the assignment of having these difficult conversations, but also knowing my capacity. Also knowing that what I'm being called to do is not what someone else is being called to do, right? And so I want to give you space to talk to somebody if you are feeling emotionally exhausted, hopelessness, if you have a lack of purpose, feels overwhelming, or if you're having any thoughts of suicide. I want you to call the toll-free National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273 talk. That's 8255. This is not a promote, a ad, a promo, any of that. I just want us to be very clear. Like I said, in my session, I put up the QR code, and I said, if ain't nobody ever asked you, sister, you need somebody to talk to, let me be the person that asks. Scan it, and if you decide to use it, that's your business, right? Like, but I want you to know that there are resources out here for people that God has put on this earth to do this job. And so I don't ever want your excuse to be I didn't know. When you know better, you do better. And I am encouraging you to do better. And so hear me clearly, look at me in my face. If I'm as I'm telling you this, if you need help, there is help out here. And I'm giving you the resources to find the help that you need. If one therapist does not work for you, find another one. If one physician does not work for you, find another one. Do advocate for yourself the same way you would advocate for your children, the same way you would advocate for your mama. Like advocate for yourself so that you can be well. That is a whole I want you to be. I want us all to be well, and I want us to be whole, and I want us to live a fulfilled life knowing that God has put us here for a reason, and that we're fulfilling the purpose, his purpose. Like this is what we are supposed to do. So um today we talked about rest, right? And so I really want y'all to think about whether or not pride is stopping you from rest, and also thinking what restores you. What is the thing that gives you energy? And I'd love to hear back from you, on our Facebook group. So just click the link and you can email it to me, right? But as always, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, please consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. Your support of a small donation of $5 to $10 helps me to create new content, grow our audience, and purchase new equipment for live recordings. Take charge of your mental health. Get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slaying, SLAYING. That link will be in the show notes. Um, Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, y'all, because that Facebook group is gone. Okay. Please share this episode with at least 10 people. We are trying to hit 100,000 downloads this year. We can get there. And I know it starts with me, but it's also, I need your help. Follow me on Instagram at Slaying Self Doubt. Until next week, keep slaying, sis. See ya. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, you enjoy this channel and you find it valuable, please consider donating by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me to create new content, get an official podcast studio, and ultimately reach more people. That's what we need. We need more people on this movement. Okay. If you're not already signed up to the newsletter, go to my website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com, and sign up for the Slayer Nation newsletter. That's where you'll get updates, where you'll get what's going on. You'll get the news first. You don't have to wait until I announce it or hear. Okay. And lastly, well, second to last, please make sure that you share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year, and every subscription, every share counts. So we need it. We need you to send it out to your peoples so they can help us hit our goal this year. Lastly, if you are not already following me on Instagram, you need to go on over there and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Until the next episode, see ya.